Welcome back, and here we go. Episode 3, Tape Over Traits. It is Bob, it is Dominic, and we are back with you wherever you consume us here on the Ticket Pod or maybe over at the Sturm Stack. Wherever you are, we are happy to be with you. And Dominic, it is linebacker day, isn't it?
It is an exciting day. I love this day, especially relative to what's just happened with the Cowboys and
Yes.
not getting Nakobe Dean, which I wanted to see. I love Nakobe Dean. I think he's
We
a
both
great
do,
player. So yeah, I love this group of linebackers. I wanted to. I didn't get to it, but I did want to look at last year's linebackers and compare how we felt about last year's group relative to this year's group, because I think this year's group is one of the best that I can remember, but I also don't want to have recency bias.
Okay, well, there were two guys in the consensus top 80 last year, and two guys only. Jihad Campbell and Carson Swessinger. Both of them look pretty good as rookies.
Yeah, but that's it. That's it. You know what? Okay, now I'm remembering. It's starting to come back to me. So yes, this group way better.
Way better.
There's much more than two. Matter of fact, the two at the top of this list might be the two on the top of the board, any board, at any position. So
well, let's go back 2 years. The linebacker board, top 80. There were three guys. Peyton Wilson, who's been okay despite that shoulder red flag from NC State. Edgerrin Cooper, who's been awesome for the Packers. I'm very impressed with Edgerrin Cooper. I thought he was going to be good. I'm not sure I thought he was going to be this good. And Junior Colson from Michigan. Where did Junior Colson end up? I'm not positive. I've followed his career terribly closely here since he got to the big leagues. He has been with the Chargers. And has he been a No.
I don't think so.
He didn't play at all in 2025. That's why I've lost track of him. 2024, he must have suffered an injury because 11 games in and one start in. That's the last time he's been in the league. So, okay. Well, so this is the best linebacker class in a while.
In a while, for sure. And I feel that when I'm watching these guys. It's like, it makes me excited because I thought this position was dead or dying. And it's that's all I kept thinking when I was watching a couple of these guys is, you know what? The linebacker position is alive and well. It's not dead. It's not dying. It's going to be okay. These guys are tremendous players, and even getting down past the top five. I have a guy named like Anthony Hill Jr. who I think is phenomenal and not in the top five.
Not in your top five.
No, and I think he's a really, really good player. The kid from Indiana, I think, is a really good player, not in my top five, but it's just how strong. Now remember, I have Arvell Reese as a linebacker, and you don't. So that's,
I put him at edge, and I ranked him accordingly. You did not, and that's totally fine, and we'll get to him in a second. So my observation on linebacker being dead is I think everything's one big flat circle in football, and it all comes back around. And as we know, I hate to make this point every episode, but I'll make it again in the safety episode. Is just offenses are trying to get bigger again. We saw defenses go to speed and to dime, and a way to attack that is to get bigger and to 12 personnel and 13 personnel and 6 offensive linemen at times with the unbalanced, and just doing everything you can to chase those cornerbacks off the field. The old "you're too small" hand gesture that started in basketball has made its way to football. And so the nickel is often now a safety. And the type of safety is kind of a hybrid linebacker. And so we saw them get smaller and smaller, and now we're seeing them start to get bigger and bigger. And a proper run and hit linebacker is now somebody you would think about in the first round, and maybe somebody you'd think about really high in the first round, and that went away for a long time.
Yeah, and even just the thought of, offenses getting bigger, that can be convoluted in a sense, because with the really good offenses, that when they go 12, it's not really 12. You know, you look at like the Rams, who went and got the Ferguson kid from Oregon. It's like, you kind of have to treat him like it's still 11.
Like he's a wide receiver.
Like he's a wide receiver. And that's why these guys are becoming more valuable, because they can't be your old Mike Singletary plug the A-gap middle linebacker.
Right.
But they do have to be big, because they're going against 250-pound athletes. These guys can run, and they can jump, and they can catch. So you can't just go big in the sense of the old going big. You gotta go big, but you gotta be able to move. And that's where, this group of linebackers this year is just phenomenal, with both, size, ability, strength, and and I guess we can transition that into kind of what we look for.
Yeah, please do.
And so, for me, the number one is sort of key to trigger. At the linebacker position, you got to be able to key, whether that's, a lot of coaches will ask you to key the triangle, which would be the ball carrier, the quarterback, and the guards, or both guards and the back. And a lot of times that is, diluted by motion or a shift. And so the ability to disregard eye candy is incredibly important at linebacker, especially in today's day and age. The offensive coordinators are doing a great job of giving you something that makes your brain think it's something, but in reality it's nothing. That's eye candy.
Yes.
So the ability to discard the eye candy, to key on something, and then to trigger and actually do it without taking false steps, without being, late on your read, and then being able to sort out, post motion or post shift, what is the offense trying to do? That's got to be like number one at linebacker. You got to be able to do that. Block destruction would be the second thing. How do you handle when the guys do get up to you and touch you? A lot of these really good guys that are really big or strong or even really fast, once they get touched, the play's over. And that's where you start getting to, sort of kind of the linebackers we had last year, which, were probably good players, but not first rounders because they had a deficiency in one of these areas. And then the last one would be matching routes, either being able to match routes downfield or being able to pressure. So essentially it's just kind of, what can I do with you on third down? And if you can get all three of these things, you get first rounders. If you can get a guy who can key and trigger and read, if you get a guy who can, handle a 300-pounder, putting his hands on him, and then a guy that can match routes, in whether in zone or in man, in coverage, or pressure on third down, that's what you're looking for in a line.
Yeah, I would say you're exactly right, and to even define that more, is this guy an every down linebacker? It's just again, we're looking for proper valuations for guys, and if you're a sub package guy or a base package guy, you lose value because you are our rundown linebacker or you are our nickel linebacker, and then that just, now we need more guys on our roster. So in a perfect world, I have Fred Warner. In a perfect world, you look at Bobby Wagner in his career, guys who can kind of be comfortable in any situation, and that requires, as you said, on third down, some sort of skill set that is not just, taking on blocks in a traditional run game. But as we saw last year, I need a guy who takes on blocks, and I need a guy who is willing to be physical, and that's why the more we get closer to 220 as linebackers, the more you have to really watch the tape to see if these guys are kind of doing the matador, kind of the Olay bit, where they once they see a giant body, they almost wave the white flag and try to negotiate a surrender with them, as opposed to, taking them on or getting past them. And, some coaches are very upset if you run around blocks, but at the same time, if you do use elusiveness to make tackles, there is value in that. But at the same time, you've got to play your assignment, and that's that's really a lot of what this is. But I will go back to your first thing, which is the idea of, I want you to be one of my smartest guys on the field, and I don't want you to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. I don't want you to be fooled by everything. And unfortunately, you can tell pretty quick if a guy is getting by on just athleticism, as opposed to, this guy's been in the film room. This guy's played a lot of football. He knows how they're trying to deceive him, and they're getting after it. So, yeah, I will lead us today with linebackers. And just so everybody knows at the outset, you've got Arvell Reese in your stack. I don't have him in my stack because if you heard the Edge episode, I think they're going to make the transition with him to edge a lot sooner. But Dominic is probably right. I mean, there's a really good chance that we go down the Micah Parsons path, which, as a rookie, they were pretty sure he was a run and hit guy. And then they evolved in that direction as he got a little older and maybe a little more comfortable in the league, and also by necessity, as you'll recall. So we don't know.
I also want to throw out my sort of false positives in evaluation. Things that, especially, we get lost during this silly season, during combine, pro day season, and especially with Sonny Styles, and I'm not saying he's one of these guys, but when a guy puts up the numbers that he did, how could you not, move him up on your board? It's hard to not. Right. So these are things that can throw you off, though, and this is why we are tape over traits, because these are the things that we have to look at and we have to sort of decipher. If a guy is late, so late but fast loses in the NFL, but it can win in college. You can be a little bit late. You can take a false step. You can key the wrong thing and still, with elite athleticism, make plays. So, you have to be careful of watching. Is a guy late? Is he stepping in the wrong direction and then recovering? Right. Guys can get away with that in college. In the NFL, you lose. The second thing is big tackle numbers, just like interception numbers. If a guy's making tackles 5 to 7 yards downfield, that does not equal the same as a guy making tackles under 3 yards.
Yes.
And so, but he could have 12 of those.
That's right.
And if you have 120 of those in a season, that might look impressive, but tackle numbers can be a false positive. Now, again, you could also say, well, that guy has a nose for the ball. And there is some value to that. So that's why you have to watch the tape. You can't just look at the number and go, that's an impressive number. Or you can also say, hey, this guy's a low tackle guy. Does he not have a knack for the ball because he doesn't have a lot of tackles? You have to watch the tape to make sure you sort of sift these things out. So those are 100%. two things that I wanted to call out just as a casual fan, that when you watch, especially when you watch the draft, draft weekend, you're going to go, oh, man, this guy only had 60 tackles and that guy had 90. Why is he a first rounder and he's not? And it's, these are the things that, can kind of throw you off as what I call false positives.
Okay. So let me get to my 5. I do want to say at the outset, the combine was wild with these guys, because I'm pretty sure everybody on my list and your list is an absurd athlete relative to what we expect from linebackers. The relative athletic score, correct me if I'm wrong, but all of them are in the range of, this is a dude. Like, nobody in the conversation has real trait questions that I can see. Can you?
None. No, absolutely. I just was floored. Shout out to all my combine trainer friends out
Yeah.
there that they killed it this year. I mean, and it's been going crazy over the last couple years anyway.
Right.
But man, this year they just nailed it, and it wasn't just with the skilled positions or the quote unquote fast guys. These guys are running ridiculous times.
Yes,
and
they're running wide receiver
and
times,
jumping ridiculous, heights, and just they were they were unreal. It was not human what they did this combine season.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Incredible.
Okay, let me get down to business here then. So at number 5 for me, I have Cincinnati's Jake Golday. He is a bit of an older dude, and so I want to look at my notes here. If it looks like I'm looking at notes, if you're on the video side, it's because I am. I like how he plays the game in terms of he's a really big guy, kind of feels like Leighton Vander Esch type size in height and so forth. And so he's got that, and what I really like is motor, getting to the ball with some thump. Now, again, these are more subjective terms when you're watching film, but do I feel like you're hitting with force, or do I feel like you're kind of dragging somebody down like you wish you were a cornerback? I want physical edge to my defense, and I think nothing sets that tone better than good linebackers. And so I do think he can do the job as an off-ball linebacker if used correctly. His pass rush is an add-on that has potential, and his run defense is probably going to be the best part of his game. The problems I do see is in space in the NFL. You wonder if he's going to be perhaps the half-step late guy a little bit if he's asked to go into the flats against some of the unreal athletes with the hips and so forth. And so it's not a massive ender for me or a deal breaker, but there are, that would be the concern I have of him, is just I would love a little more fluidity. And I would, and obviously what that means is I want to feel great about him on third downs, because that's when offenses are going to put every elusive guy on the field and spread them out and isolate and try to take advantage of somebody who can't quite fill it all in. He's obviously very gifted athletically, but it's all 2 degrees here. So, I think he can be a real player at the next level. He definitely can do it. But there are 4 guys I like more. So I have Jake Golday, Cincinnati, at number 5.
Yeah, I don't have him in my top 5. I will say, here's something I don't know if you know. He led college football in 4th down stops with 5. Which is interesting. Just for me as a guy who's obsessed with like playmakers and big plays, and I think that's something. He's played 65% of his snaps were in an overhang capacity.
Yes, right.
Which is really good information, because, again, what I just talked about with 12 personnel, you're going to need a guy who's comfortable, because they'll come out in 12 and then go in empty.
Yes.
And you got to have a guy who's not thinking, I got to get in the box. I got to be in the box. Like, no, there's nobody in here. There are no threats in here. And so I know he's comfortable doing that, and then he has some edge experience. So I think when you're talking about third down, you have a guy that is sort of moldable in terms of scheme, because I can put him out there. He can edge rush, and that is a thing, but he also can play traditional linebacker, apex linebacker, overhang linebacker, and I'm not asking him to do something he's never done before, or trying to find a skill or a trait that he doesn't already possess. And I love that. I love the idea of that. So yeah, I definitely liked him. He would have been, right past the top 5 for me, but those are some of the things that jumped out on the tape for me. A lot of apex, a good enough amount of edge, and and definitely someone that can do it out there.
Now we'll just tell people, I think 4 and 5 on my list are not even on your list, which is wild to me. At number 4, I have Texas's Anthony Hill, who 5-star out of Denton Ryan. and was, needed no introduction when he committed to Texas. This was a big one. In fact, I think they flipped him from A&M at the last second, and that was big news around here, as you might expect. Obviously, he's unbelievable in terms of an athlete. He is one of those very high floor NFL prospects where you're like, okay, if he never turns the corner, I still have a guy I can start, and I can still feel good about him. He has everything I need. He's very capable going sideline to sideline. He'll do his job. He understands the position, got a good IQ, capable of everything in some way, shape, or form. And I do think if that's what he is, that's not bad. My issues. I don't know if I've heard his name 7 million times, if that works against him, because I'll be honest, I didn't know Jake Golday from Adam when I started this project, but Anthony Hill has been on my brain for 5 years, okay, going back to high school. So I think Anthony Hill, I just wanted more of everything, man. I mean, there are flashes of a superstar linebacker, but I just wanted more plays that pop. I want more getting off blocks with violence. I want more motor even. I want more sprinting when it looks like you're going 85% and not 100%. I want a tone setter on my defense, and I don't know if Anthony Hill sets a tone. He does his job, okay? But we're talking about a really good group here and a really high bar. And I just wanted a little more from Anthony Hill on that tape. I'm not saying he was coasting at Texas because they're so loaded and because often they're much better than their opponent, but I just wanted more. That's all I can say, Dominic. I know that's not a great scouting report necessarily. I would probably still take him early too, but I wanted a guy that I'm thinking about at 12 or 15.
And I'll say, like, you just nailed it. I don't necessarily have the words. I was going to just let you, kind of give your synopsis on him and then say move on, because I don't have any sort of educational things to add to it other than it just doesn't feel like it's supposed to feel when I'm talking about my top 5. And that's why, but I feel guilty because I'll tell you, I actually coached him in the Under Armour All-American game a couple years ago, and he was maybe the best player on the field, period. Like, regardless of position.
Right.
The kid is incredible. He is a really, really good player, and if I put him in my top 5, I wouldn't have no reservation. But when I talk about my 5, again, I sit up with all 5 of these guys.
Okay.
I do. All 5 of them, I feel like when I watch their film, I can't wait to see the next clip.
That's right.
I don't feel this way about him. Now, I'm not falling asleep when I watch him. I don't
he's
hate
not
it.
Bad.
He's certainly not bad. Yeah, and like you said, if I take him, I'm not going, man, we got an inferior player. I'm incredibly happy because I do believe he's really good, but I don't really have concrete, like, here's why I don't love him. There's no, he's slow on this, or he doesn't do this, or he's not physical, or he does everything good. When you watch the film, he does everything good. I just didn't see anything great. And that's where there's, again, all 5 of my guys, they do something that makes me, they have a plus.
Now there's room to grow too. I mean, by the time he's 24, he might be everything we dream of.
That's where I'm really struggling because I feel that way, but it doesn't make sense. I can't sort of connect the two because I say he could be an all-pro, in 4 years from now, but then I also say he's not better than the other 5. And that doesn't. Those two don't quite make sense. So,
and here's what's wild: the guy in front of him. If you would have told anybody 3 years ago that this guy would be a higher draft prospect than this other guy, than Anthony Hill, I would have had to go see a psychiatrist or something like that. There's just no way this is possible. But at number 3, I have Texas Tech's Jacob Rodriguez. And he's going to be 24 by week 1, okay? He was a college quarterback at Virginia. This is the opposite of Anthony Hill. I kind of went into this project thinking that he can't be as good as everyone is telling me he is. Like, you would watch him, but you wouldn't watch him like you do on film. And I entered a little bit cynical, given the talent on the Texas Tech defense and given the warm and fuzzies that his story creates for everybody that hears about it. Like, he is a guy everybody cheers for. And I want to at least tell you my biases going in were that I'm expecting Anthony Hill to blow me away, and I'm expecting to find Jacob Rodriguez probably late day 2 is just what I'm expecting. Then I turn on the tape, and I absolutely love the instincts. I love the play pursuit. I love the way he processes, and I've talked myself into the fact that he was a quarterback makes him a faster processor for defenses and for what they're trying to do to him. He gets to the ball all the time. In fact, if he has a annoying fault, it might be that he is trying to punch the ball out too much. Like, dude, sometimes I need you to make the tackle, so stop trying to punch the ball. But then he forces 8 fumbles. 8 fumbles in one season. Like, are you kidding me? That's insane, because by like the 4th one, every OC you play against is saying he's going for the ball, protect the ball around him.
And they're spending all week going, hey, if that guy's around, you better have 3 hands on the ball. You know? That's all they're doing.
It's crazy. He plays a game in a way where he's trying to get the ball back for his team every time. Solid in coverage drops, can activate on blitzes. I'm not sure there's a lot of pass rush there, but obviously if you're Sugar in the A gap or something like that, he can be fine. He's a menace, and his versatility is a plus, and I think he's extremely, extremely sharp. So my biggest issues in watching the film is, okay, I'm going to need to see the combine. I'm going to instincts are great, but athleticism is honestly, if you pair that with instincts, you can be an NFL excellent player. I didn't know what the combine was going to show, and then he was fantastic. All of his traits check the boxes. So
let me give you 4.57, 4.19 short shuttle, which is the 86th percentile.
Yeah.
6.9 3-cone, 87th percentile. 38.5 vertical jump. Guys, there are wide receivers that are jumping under 38, and we look at them as the most superior athletes that have ever walked this earth.
Yeah.
This guy is a freak. A freak.
I saw the 3-cone, and I'm like, well, that's one of my most important things for a linebacker, and he killed it. Killed it. So yeah, I don't know what to say about this guy. I went in very skeptical. I don't know, man. I want to be careful to never fall for warm and fuzzy stories, so I'm trying to put that out of my head and just look at the tape. I also am trying to avoid but the dude's 24 thing, you know. But there's just betting against him feels like a bad idea, and you know, we can slice and dice this one, but I honestly think I would think about him in the back of round 1, and that's crazy, but that's where I am. He's my 3rd linebacker.
Yeah, I wanted to push him out, and I couldn't. He is the best play recognition linebacker in this class, and that is saying a lot because this is a great class. He is phenomenal at diagnosing and anticipation and understanding, and then you add the 8 fumbles. That's that's astronomical. It's astronomical to get 5 when they don't know you're trying to get them. When you can get 8, and everybody, like I said, they spend the whole week making sure that, hey, when Rodrigo's around the ball, you better protect it, and he's still getting it out. That's a gift. And that's I'm not going to say you can't teach it, but when somebody has it, it is very rare. And
Yeah,
so
and
I have
keep
him
in
at
mind,
number 5. I have him as my number 5, and it's only because, again, I've got I've got Arvell in this group, and so he probably could be higher, should be higher. But I loved him. I thought he made me sit up a lot. And
yeah,
most number 5s are more like lean in.
right.
This guy's a sit up for me, and he's my 5th best.
In the last 3 years combined at Texas Tech, 12 forced fumbles, 6 interceptions, 18 takeaways personally in 3 seasons, and one of those seasons he only played 5 games.
Yeah.
That's
elite. That's
so crazy. Yeah. And if we're telling people getting the ball is the most important thing you can do as a defense, I'm blown away. Okay, I better get moving here. Number 2, Georgia's C.J. Allen for me. So there's some things here that we got to talk about, but first and foremost, highly intelligent middle linebacker, exactly the prototype for stopping the run, running sideline to sideline, putting out fires, excellent speed, excellent instincts. He's where he's supposed to be. That's, after watching the Cowboys this year, let me just say, give me a linebacker who is where he is supposed to be. He plays downhill. He keys with urgency. Perhaps something that separates him from me is his motor and the fact that you can't really find him ever jogging. He plays as he expects everyone to play at full speed. And so to go back to Anthony Hill, and maybe this is unfair to both of them, but I see C.J. Allen kind of challenging the guys around him to meet his level. And I'm not saying Anthony Hill doesn't. I don't necessarily see the magnetism around him that I see from C.J. Allen. Maybe that's a Georgia culture thing. I don't know, but it's pretty cool to see with your own eyes when you're watching this sort of thing. He sorts through the mess. He tackles with conviction. Now, is he ever going to be a man cover guy? No, I don't think so. He can turn his hips. His zone drops were fine with me. He is, if you want to get really picky, you could say he's an ideal base down linebacker, and nickel is going to be a work in progress a little bit. His size could work against him. His I don't know. I think his size is fine. Maybe I'm overdoing that as well. But if I saw anything that made me a little leery, it's, can I match you up with a running back out of the backfield in man, in space, and feel great about it? Probably not like some of these other dudes, but I think C.J. Allen plays ball at a high level, and I would lock him in as one of my picks right now if I could. I think he's not only a linebacker, but a leader of men, a kind of an attitude setter on a defense. That's exactly my song. They're playing my tune there, so I love him.
Yeah, I will be upfront and honest with you guys, and I was the same way last year. Just like I said with Anthony Hill, I coached the guy. Any Saban guy, defensive guy, I'm going to be biased towards. And any Kirby Smart was my first college football coach, was my defensive back coach. He's a dear friend of mine. I know him very well, and I know his guys. I know a Kirby guy. You watch it on film. If you blacked out the screen or you made it black and white and I didn't know the jersey colors, I could tell you C.J. Allen is a Kirby Smart guy. They play a certain way. I'm going to get a certain level of leadership and understanding. One of the most impressive things about this guy in particular is Glenn Schumann, the defensive coordinator there at Georgia, has come out and said he called the defense for about 90% of the year.
Okay.
You don't do that in the SEC as a 21-year-old kid unless you are incredibly connected with the staff, with the understanding of the game plan, with being a freak yourself athletically. yeah, his speed is going to be an issue maybe on some third down, matchups. I don't necessarily think it's so bad that it's going to run me off of taking him,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but he's not going to be, like a Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese, from a speed standpoint. But no, yeah, I'm taking this guy if I have a shot. He's tremendous. He's my number 3, and again,
Okay.
that's because Arvell's at the top.
Yep.
So he would be 2 for me if I had Arvell as an edge. I if you sell me him as the best linebacker in this class, I would buy that.
Yeah. And I would take him at 20 for
that.
sure, by the way, if you're a Cowboy fan.
100%. He's dropped to me in some of the mock drafts, and I've been very happy to take him at 20.
Yeah, it's an interesting one at 20 if I'm looking at C.J. Allen or Jacob Rodriguez. I think I'm going C.J. Allen. That's my ranking. But that would be an interesting one. And it's also the conversation, not to get lost in the weeds here, but when people now say, would you trade 20 straight up for Max Crosby? I think the answer has to be yes, but this is the type of guy you're walking away from. One of these two guys we just talked about would be the type of guy you can get at 20, and do you want to walk away from 5 years of this guy for that? Probably, and maybe that deal isn't even out there, but that's just something to think about. Okay.
Yeah, I think you have to, in this case, you'd have to look at the position. The edge being a premium position. If you can get an edge that's already produced,
right,
you got to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Number 1 for me is Sonny Styles. Not a lot of drama. It's pretty obvious. There's a million ways you can look at this, including the greatest relative athletic score we've ever seen for a linebacker, right? Like, I forget what it is, but like 1,500 linebackers have been to the combine. He's number 1. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sideline to sideline, he handles himself like a pro already. He's assignment sound. He's physically impressive. It appears he is basically already a coach on the field, and like he's 20 years old or whatever he is. A standout production, knows the game, executes it well, plays at high speed and high power. Both check the boxes easily. His safety upbringing makes him an easy coverage piece. Like you can tell
that.
You could tell he was a safety, right? Concerns, I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? I'm not sure there's a ton of pass rush value beyond those A-gap blitzes or things of that nature, but as fast as he is, they better not leave those gaps available for him because he's going to wreck stuff. He'll be tested in man, but he's fine. Fluid hips, overall speed. I mean, I'm not going to waste my time telling you about Sonny Styles. He's going to be great, but he's also going to be gone in the top 10, I would say, almost assuredly. If not, you've got a real decision to make at number 12 if you're the Cowboys, but I don't think he gets to you. I think he's that good, and I've got no more questions, Your Honor.
How about 0 missed tackles in 2025?
Is that good, given Ohio State's opponents?
That's crazy. That makes no sense. That makes
exactly
0 sense. And it's not because he doesn't play hard. Like, the guy is all over the place. I don't know that I should even add anything to what you said other than that. The 0 missed tackles is just crazy. You may want to say he can improve his zone coverage awareness, possibly. But again, I have to be upfront with my bias. Any guy who was a multi-sport athlete is going to gain extra points. Any guy who played another position is going to gain extra points with me. This guy did both at a very high level. If you haven't seen his high school basketball clips, please go check them out.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'll send it to you. I'm not. Please. Oh my gosh. He's incredible basketball player.
Okay.
Like I don't want to misspeak, but I think he was the best player in the state when he was coming out of high school.
And
the guy's incredible.
And remember, this is a boy king in terms of his dad was a hero at his school, and he's part of a family where when he's a 5-year-old, people are pointing at him and saying, you know who that is. So it's a different experience, as you know, if you're in a football family with expectations for sons, and that's just how it rolls.
And there's nothing to not love. There really isn't. He's everything you would want in a player, and kind of to top it off, I think he was the second best, maybe third best defender on his team.
Yeah.
I went into this season thinking Caleb Downs was the best player in college football. Period.
Yeah.
And my number one on my list is Arvell Reese.
Okay.
During the season, I transitioned from watching Caleb Downs every down to I can't stop pulling up Arvell Reese clips. I thought he was the best player in college football. He's my number one. Sonny Styles is my number two. And C.J. Allen is three. Josiah Trotter is my number four, who you hadn't watched yet. So I'm going to sell him to you here in a second.
This is son of Jeremiah Trotter, brother of Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
For sure, yes. And then Jacob Rodriguez is my number five. So I don't know that I need to spend time on Arvell Reese. I love everything about him. I hate doing the Micah Parsons comparisons, because they are different people and different players and took different paths. But if you're going to compare him to someone, that's where you got to go. That's where you have to start. That's where that's what I see in him. I think he could do either at an all-pro level, whether that's off-ball linebacker or edge. You got to put him at edge because that's the money position. He can change games, and that's what they figured out with Micah. We can change games so much more if he's over there
100%
than if he's at linebacker. So,
Tell me about Trotter then.
Josiah Trotter, again, you turn on the film, and I didn't know what to expect. I have a coaching friend who coaches offense at Mizzou. He had told me when I had dinner with him in January, this kid that we have at linebacker is one of the most special players that I've ever seen practice. Not just play on Saturdays, but the way he practices.
Okay.
The guy is laser sharp, and he's just a phenomenal athlete. On the very first clip that I watched, oh gosh, I got to figure out which game that was so I can tell you. It's an SEC game. I think it's Auburn. He's lined up at the apex. He blitzes the B gap, and the running back, number 23, comes to block him, and he essentially hurdles him, pushes him down, and then sacks the quarterback. So obviously I'm sitting back, and then I have to sit up, and I couldn't sit back for the next probably 7 clips as he just continued to show athleticism in space, ability to sort of avoid blockers. He's not necessarily going to take you on, face mask to face mask, but he's very slippery in space. And just he's again, he was the guy that I was watching when I decided, oh wow, the linebacker position is okay, because he's playing true linebacker. He's not an edge. He's not lining up, he's not the old, 3-4 edge, and he's not quite the old Mike linebacker where he's plugging A gaps. He's in space. He's comfortable in space. You can obviously see that he's the son of an NFL player. He's kind of got that way that he carries himself. 7% career missed tackle rate. So here's another guy that's not missing tackles, but also making a lot of tackles. When a guy doesn't have a lot of missed tackles, because even a lot of your best tackle leaders in the NFL, they have the most missed tackles also.
Yes.
That's something that a lot of guys don't know. And so when you have a guy that's making a lot of tackles, it obviously means he's attempting a lot of tackles, and so they usually have a lot of misses. He doesn't have a lot of missed tackles. A lot of punch when he does get to the ball. You can see, there's some knockback. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed watching his play, his block avoidance, his block shedding, his tackling, his blitzing, the power when he hits. The only thing I thought was maybe a little lost in zone coverage, similar to Sonny Styles. But you see an athlete in space. So
yeah, I love it. That's awesome. I'm going to get on him in no time. Okay, So to review, my 5, Jake Golday, Cincinnati. At number 4, I went with Anthony Hill, Texas. At number 3, Jacob Rodriguez, Texas Tech. At number 2, C.J. Allen, Georgia. At number 1, Ohio State. And your top 5 one more time?
5, Jacob Rodriguez. 4, Josiah Trotter. 3, C.J. Allen. 2, Sonny Styles. And 1, Arvell Reese.
Okay, well, so it's a great class.
The only overlap, or the only guy I didn't have, or I had that you didn't have, was Josiah.
Yeah.
And then you had Anthony Hill, and I have him as number 6.
Okay.
Essentially. So
it's a great class, man.
It's a very good class, man. This is, like I said, I'm excited for the linebackers. And where are we going from here? We haven't discussed.
Well, I'm very excited about my safeties, but if you would if you want to circle to defensive tackle, we can do that as well.
No, let's go safety because I want to get to the safeties. So,
okay, well, next time we will do safeties. That will be episode 4. But if you've missed episode 1, that is edges. I'm going to say episode 2 was cornerbacks, and now episode 3 linebackers. Then 4 will be safeties, 5 will be defensive tackles, and then we cross the line of scrimmage and take a look at the offense. Maybe not quite as in-depth because I also want to save time for some mock drafts and some big boards here as we get to the middle or late part of April. But that's it for today. Dominic, great job, man. We will see you next time. And thank you for being with us today, everybody, because we're really enjoying doing this for you. And we will be back soon on Tape Over Traits.